episode of Making the Call. We are here to break down all the action from NFL Week 2. I'm joined by Trent and Rosie this week. We'll start with our one big headlines. We'll move into an update on how our NFL contests are going. Both our weekly prop contests that the five of us do, as well as the ones we have open to the public, the Survivor pool and the Pick'em pool. And then we'll just get into Week 2. We'll obviously start off with the news about the surprising or maybe not surprising benching of Bryce Young, and then all the other action from all the games on Sunday, including the Monday night action. So quick little programming note. We will be podcasting on Tuesdays, at least moving forward. We'll see how long it lasts. But Alex, who, couldn't be on this week, but he decided to join a work softball league. So he's got conflicts like every Monday. So we're going to shift it to Tuesdays. I think Trent's actually really happy about that because now we have a full, week slate to talk about. We don't have that lingering Monday night game.
That's my biggest pet peeve.
Yeah.
We're talking about the week when there's still games going on. And I didn't like that. So I am happy to be here on a Tuesday.
Big changes. Huge,
enormous. So programming note, these will be live on the Making the Call YouTube Tuesday nights around 7:15-ish. And then video podcast on Spotify, audio everywhere else, first thing Wednesday morning. So just a quick little heads up about that. All right, let's start with our one big headline. Rosie, how about you kick us off?
Well, I have a not so fun stat to share with you guys. Out of the top 6 highest paid quarterbacks in the league right now, how many of them have more than 2 touchdowns through the first 2 weeks of the season?
Okay, so is this 6 highest paid in terms of like
total value
for this year or just total contract?
Average per year.
Okay.
Have a passing touchdown?
Have 2.
2 passing touchdowns.
Yeah.
Okay, so Patty?
Ooh.
He's not in the top 6.
Oh. So the top 6 would be Watson, Tua,
Dak. Is he in the top 6?
How about you guys guess a number, and then I'll tell you guys the top 6.
Okay. 1.
Trent?
I'm guessing 2.
It's 0.
Oh my gosh.
Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow, Jordan Love, which, he might have had it. Trevor Lawrence, Tua, and Jared Goff are top 6. And then I left it at 6 because Justin Herbert is at 7, and he has 3. Lamar's at 2. Jalen's at 3. Kyler's at 4, I think.
Oh, so this is more than 2 or 2 plus?
More than 2.
Okay, I was about to say, yeah, Dak has 2. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, none of the top 6 highest paid quarterbacks suck. Let's be honest. They're all getting paid way too much.
I think that's I don't know. Comes with the time that we're in,
See, I understand that.
You got to pay a quarterback.
But I think times are changing. Like all of offense is down. And I think I was mulling this thought over the weekend because I had to watch Jared Goff play, and I was like, why are we paying this guy so much? And then Tua as well. He couldn't, before he got hurt, he couldn't throw the ball to the sideline without getting picked off. So I think that unless you're a difference maker at quarterback, you do not deserve to get paid top of market money.
The running backs went through the same thing 10 years ago. Like teams went out and paid Chris Johnson, DeMarco Murray, and there's probably another one I'm missing. And now they're just like, no, we'll draft someone in the 4th round.
Yep. And I don't know if it'll get to that extreme, but
I don't think it will.
Quarterbacks Geno, Baker, Gardner Minshew, even Sam Darnold.
I was going to say his name. Say his name, Rosie.
He was on the list. But they're all doing really, really well. And I don't know if you need to pay guys that aren't difference makers top of the market money.
I think. Go ahead, Trent.
I think it's more. The league is turning into more of a you have to have a good coach. Like, you've always had to have a good coach, but in the past, I don't know where I'm going with this.
Like, the coordinator means more now than it ever has.
Yeah. The play caller means more now than like, because when Tom Brady and Peyton Manning were running around, like, there was always conversation like, oh, the offensive coordinator on that team doesn't even matter because it's Tom Brady and Peyton Manning making the calls, which might be true. I don't know. I wasn't in the huddle, but nowadays it's like you can see the creativity that some of these coordinators have, and it's, I don't know. I am ear to ear every week watching Kevin O'Connell.
Well, and we'll get to it too, but I don't think any team exemplifies that more than the Saints, because they went from like bottom 5 in the league in pre-snap motion. I think they're top 3 now.
Yeah.
And obviously it's paying dividends.
I also think I think part of the reason why offense as a whole is down to start this year, and I think you saw the same thing last year, maybe even the year before that, is these teams don't play in the preseason anymore. So you almost have to consider like the first 3 weeks of the regular season to be almost like the preseason, where it's like they're trying to figure things out, work out the kinks. And especially on teams where maybe they have a new play caller or they have a new, wide receiver they're trying to get incorporated. Like, some of these teams just kind of adjust to all those changes in the new season quicker and easier than others. I'm not saying that to discredit what like Sam Darnold has done or Derek Carr has done. It's more so to explain why some of these quarterbacks who we know are good seem to struggle early on in the year.
Yeah, and I would like to see like side by side numbers on like the first 3. Like, 'cause Joe Burrow's always sucked in week 1.
Always.
So
I believe for his career, he's like 6-6 in the month of September.
Yeah, I would like to see, because I don't know if it's exclusive to this year. I haven't seen the numbers, but I would be interested to see how teams compare. Like, everyone knows teams hit their stride end of November, end of December. So, like in hockey, which this is a perfect segue into my big headline. In hockey, what teams are good by November. Because like there's teams that'll start 0-10, and then like Edmonton fired their coach in November and they made the Stanley Cup final. But so I agree with what you said, Andrew. I think you got to wait a couple weeks before you make any judgments. I think there's teams that you can be like, okay, these guys are for real, but I don't think you can write like the Bengals are 0-2, and they're not a bad team, I don't think.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've been wrong about a lot so far in the first 2 weeks. So we'll just have to wait and see. My big headline.
Yeah.
Preseason hockey starts this week. We're back, baby. Training camps open up on Thursday. First game's on Saturday. It'll be broadcasted on the Victory Plus app, so I can watch preseason hockey.
Ayo.
I've never been able to watch the Dallas Stars in the preseason, so pretty excited about that. It's funny because like I would watch other teams' preseason games because they'd be on like NHL Network or something, but I have never watched a Dallas Stars preseason hockey game, and Saturday will be my first one. Besides, like I've gone to a couple, so I guess I can't say I've never watched one, but I'm pretty excited about it. So
nice, yeah. Shout out Victory Plus. That's exciting.
Little annoying they don't have an Apple TV app.
They don't?
Not yet. They're working on it, but right now all they have is like a Roku and a Fire TV. So I bit the bullet and dropped $20 on a Fire TV.
Wait, can you explain what that is?
What is
Victory?
The Victory Plus is an app where the Dallas Stars will be streaming all of their in local market games. It's free to the public. They have it on iOS, Android. They're working on getting it on smart TVs and Apple TV. But you'll be able to like download the app. I think they have a website too, and you'll be able to watch the Dallas Stars for free in Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Arkansas, and Louisiana. The only problem when they're on the national broadcast, you'll have to have some form of ESPN Plus or TNT. And unfortunately, they are a good team, so they have 13 nationally broadcast games this year. But you'll be able to watch 69 games on Victory Plus. Yeah.
Love it.
Very nice. Very nice.
All right. So we were having this quarterback discussion and about it seems like, I mentioned lack of preseason, I think is partly to blame for the fact that it seems like these teams start off really slow. I just wanted to poll. So I just went year by year. For the sake of this, I'm just going back to 2020, but so far what I did is I did through the first 3 weeks of the season. I know we're only 2 weeks in. But for the sake of this, I'll just do the first 3 weeks, to make it a little bit of a bigger sample size. So far this season, they track like EPA per play. From a quarterback standpoint, there are only 6 quarterbacks that have an EPA per play above 0.2. Derek Carr, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Jaden Daniels, actually, and Sam Darnold. The same number 6 was the same in 2023 and 2022. But in 2021, this is where I had to go back to. They've got 12 quarterbacks who meet that criteria. And in 2020, the number was also 12. So it is something where the past few weeks there have been like the number of quarterbacks who are kind of in that upper echelon, at least to start the year, has been down. So it does make it a little rough when you just gave a guy a big new quarterback and he's slow coming out the gate. You're like, oh, okay, well, maybe that was a mistake. Who knows? But all right, my one big headline, not sports related, but I watched actually like several movies this weekend, and it was a lot of fun. And it was movies I hadn't seen that I'd been wanting to check off my list. And I'll start with actually the last one I watched, which was Inglourious Bastards, which I was urged to watch it by everyone in the Making the Call group text. Everyone was like, I mean, Trent, you said it was like a top 5 movie for you.
Yep. Easily. It is fantastic cinema.
It was awesome.
I hate movies. Like I won't, like I'll sit down and watch kid movies now because, have a kid. But Inglourious Bastards is his top 5 favorite movie of mine.
It rocked. Like, I don't know.
Brad Pitt, I think that's Brad Pitt's best movie.
His accent cracked me up. Buongiorno. Yeah. Killing Nazis. Like, it was just, it was awesome. So I watched that. I watched Zone of Interest, which came out, I think, last year. And then Memento, old Christopher Nolan film, which is like similar vibe of like Inception, Interstellar, like the movies that are kind of hard to follow, a little confusing, but really intriguing. But yeah, not crossed off a few movies off my list that I hadn't seen before, capped off by Inglourious Bastards, which really, really glad I did. Movie rocked. So much fun. All right, let's get into the week 2 headlines. Let's start with, and of course, kind of throughout the podcast, we've got Trent's Kool-Aid Player of the Week coming up, Rosie's Fantasy Roundup, and then I've got a stat of the week to give you guys. Let's start with, I think, the biggest news, which is Bryce Young has been benched. They are seemingly going with Andy Dalton as the starting quarterback moving forward. Are we surprised by this? Not surprised? What's everyone's reaction?
I know people were talking about it after his awful game last week, but I can't remember anything like this happening before, to be honest. Like a year 2 really high drafted quarterback being sat after his second week. I just can't think of that ever happening before.
I can't remember it happening this early. That's my thing, right? I don't know, Trent. Yeah. What do you think?
I don't know if any of you guys saw the Mel Kiper rant today.
I did.
I think he hit the nail on the head on there. He basically said the Panthers last year said we have everything set up for him to come into a good situation. And then when they saw what CJ Stroud was doing, they panicked and fired everybody and started completely over. And you can't do that to a second-year quarterback.
Yep.
Like he basically said that the front office and the ownership group of the Carolina Panthers failed Bryce Young. This is not Bryce Young's fault. And I have been high on Bryce Young. I thought he was the smartest college quarterback I ever saw. His height is a little bit of an issue. I have a friend that reminds me constantly that there's never been a successful tiny quarterback like him. Which I don't know if he ever saw Drew Brees play or not, but
there's never been a quarterback at his height and weight that has succeeded.
Okay.
The weight's the bit, like that's the caveat, because like Kyler's small, but Kyler is bigger,
stocky. Yeah, I mean he's a good player.
He's athletic, and Bryce Young is not.
Yeah, I could see that, I guess. But I'm with Mel Kiper on this. I think it's the Panthers organization as a whole. I don't really think this is necessarily on Bryce Young. Was he making plays that were terrible? Absolutely. But everyone did in the first couple of weeks. Like you alluded to this earlier, all the quarterbacks were playing like garbage.
It's just the things that like
I think Derek Carr's the only one not.
That's true.
Like I think Derek Carr's the only quarterback that hasn't made throws where I'm like, why did you throw that football?
But on Bryce, like the things that he does well, that he did well in college, like getting the ball out on time and accurately, he's not doing. And sometimes I think the game just doesn't translate for some people, and it does for others. Just immediately, like with CJ Stroud, like he had real issues under pressure, and now he's one of the best quarterbacks under pressure, just randomly. I mean, stuff like that just happens, and I don't know if you can like blame, like if you want to blame Tepper or like the organization.
No, that is who you blame.
I think you blame everyone. And if Bryce was a good quarterback, he would overcome this, especially in the second year.
Okay, so I think there's a few things to unpack with that. One, I think for the way all of this has gone, you blame David Tepper. Like he is numero uno. He's the one who wanted to take Bryce Young. The entire front office, coaching staff wanted to take CJ Stroud.
That's crap. I don't believe that in the slightest. There is no way that everyone in the
Frank Reich wanted to take CJ Stroud. The GM wanted to take CJ Stroud. But I kid you not, like there were reports. Of course
they're going to say that afterwards.
No, there were reports like
they were saying that during
that it was the S2 score that scared David Tepper off of CJ Stroud. And he said, no, we're going with Bryce Young. That stupid little assessment that said CJ Stroud was going to fail and that Bryce Young, scored really well at. And it's David Tepper who fired Frank Reich. It's all the rash decisions like point back to him and a lack of patience. Right. And I really question, like CJ Stroud has been awesome in Houston. And if you keep all the other variables the same and you put CJ Stroud in this situation with Frank Reich and then Frank Reich getting fired and then you have an interim coach and like Bryce Young has had 3 different offensive coordinators and he's 2 games into his second season. CJ Stroud's not the same quarterback that we think of him today in the exact same situation. There's no way.
And he's not, but his talent would show, I think.
It doesn't help that Panthers fans are watching Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold ball out less than 3 years after they left.
Exactly.
It doesn't help at all, which the Jets are doing the same thing too. But basically everyone that Sam Darnold played for. Yeah. So half the league at this point.
I mean, yeah, I think it's like I think the physical limitations were known about Bryce Young, but as Trent, I think you mentioned it, and Rosie, I know you've mentioned it before on previous podcasts, like the intelligence factor with Bryce Young is what made people think, okay, this could work. Like we could, despite the height, despite the weight, despite the limitations there, like he is smart enough that we could actually build an offense around him. But you need the right people in place to build said offense. And he's had the exact opposite of that. So he deserves some blame for his lack of development, but it's also he's been in the absolute worst situation. With that said, I think if they're trying to keep a hold of that locker room, you had to pull him. Like you had to move in a different direction, which this leads me to my stat of the week. And Bryce Young, through 2 games this season, he has a league worst of negative 0.6 EPA per dropback. To put that into perspective, the worst EPA per dropback for all of last season, like over the course of the entire season, was Zach Wilson at negative 0.31, followed by Bryce Young at negative 0.3. So Bryce Young through 2 weeks is twice as worse as he was in his rookie season. Okay. I wanted to put some historical context in this. So I went back and tried to put some qualifiers on it. So far through 2 weeks, Bryce Young has attempted 56 passing attempts. Okay. So I put that as the qualifier. I said, okay, let's look at prior years going back to 2018. What quarterbacks who have attempted at least 56 passing attempts in that season have had a EPA per dropback that has been worse than what Bryce Young has done this season? Okay. The very, very worst that I found was, tell me if you remember this guy, Luke Falk for the New York Jets
in
in 2019.
We're going to have to bleep that out?
No.
All right.
Falk. Luke Falk for the Jets in 2019. Okay.
Who is that?
Exactly. He had 73 pass attempts over 3 games and had a negative 0.77 EPA per dropback. Okay. The other leading contenders were Nathan Peterman for the Bills in 2018.
Bad.
In 2018, 81 pass attempts over 4 games had a EPA per dropback of negative 0.74. And then Derek Anderson, also for the Bills in 2018. The Bills were really slumming it at quarterback. 70 pass attempts over 2 games had a negative 0.60 EPA per dropback. So that's the company Bryce Young has been in this season. And only one of them I think you guys have ever heard of or at least remember, and that's Nathan Peterman. And he's famous for all the wrong reasons. So that's the kind of production they got at quarterback, which makes sense why they're making a change now.
I mean, we'll see about this offense with Andy Dalton in there. He took over 1 game for Bryce last year against the Seahawks and
balled out.
Yeah, he was really good.
Yeah.
Do you guys know any gingers that got COVID?
What?
My wife.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I saw a rumor.
She was one of the first ones. She got it in November.
Wuhan? Oh, okay.
I saw a rumor going around that there's people that they don't know any gingers that got COVID, so they're wondering if they actually did. And I asked like 6 people, and they're like, "No, I never did." And I was like, But
so that's in Andy Dalton's favor.
Yep, that's in Andy Dalton's favor. I'm sorry. I got way off track. I apologize.
What do you think from a fantasy standpoint, Rosie? What does this do to the offense? Like, does this change what you think about Deontay Johnson or Xavier Legette, or does it do anything for you?
Yes. I'm trying to buy Deontay Johnson for sure. I think Andy Dalton will be much more accurate. I saw a stat that Bryce Young was the least pressured quarterback in the NFL through the first 2 weeks of the season.
Really?
Yeah.
He was what you said. Wait, hold on. Say that stat again.
He was the least pressured NFL quarterback through the first 2 weeks of the season.
Wow.
That's very interesting.
It was like at 29% drop back. So if Andy Dalton, I haven't heard like how Deontay Johnson is actually doing. I know Adam Thielen's been getting open. Are you gonna fact check me?
No.
On Twitter.
I'll never fact check you when you pump up Adam Thielen ever.
Was it just for week 2 or was it like through week 2?
I can't remember. It was one of those.
So through week 2, he is 13th in terms of the lowest QB pressure rate. The absolute lowest is Tua at 19.4%, which makes sense because just gets the ball out right away, right? Let me look at just week 2. Hold on.
Yeah, it could be just week 2. But his
he was 6th, which was he would have been 5th before Monday night because Jalen Hurts actually had the lowest at 17%.
Okay.
But
yeah, his offensive line is like playing well, so I think Andy Dalton has a shot to make this offense good. And then Jonathan Brooks is coming back, so we don't have to watch Miles Sanders or Chuba Hubbard play.
Chuba.
So I would be buying.
Remember like 2 years ago what you said about Miles Sanders?
Oh, you loved Miles Sanders.
He'll come back.
That hype. I bought that hype.
Wasn't quite as bad as Cam Akers.
Around. Cam Akers looked really good other than that fumble. Coming off 2 torn Achilles.
Oh, man. All right, let's keep it moving. Kirk Cousins, let's start with Monday night. Game-winning drive against Philly. How about that, Trent? How did you feel?
I like seeing Kirk Cousins succeed, so it felt good.
He seemed very relieved in that post-game interview with Lisa Salters.
I think it could have gotten really ugly if they lost that game. Even like, I mean, they could have lost that game, and that primetime Kirk, baby. He had a minute and a half to go down the field, no timeouts, and he scored a touchdown in like 30 seconds.
And it's so funny that like
that's great to see. I like Kirk a lot as a human being. I will cheer for the Vikings when they play the Falcons, but it was good to see Kirk succeed.
Yeah. It is funny that like all that was possible because Saquon dropped a wide open, hit both hands, catch on third down that would have ended the game. And now like all the conversation is about Nick Sirianni and the defense and Hurts throwing the interception at the end. And it's like, man, if Saquon catches that pass, none of this is a talking point whatsoever. But it's the way it goes sometimes. I was happy to see the Falcons. It seemed like the offense was certainly more competent than we saw in week 1. And I'm pulling the play action percentages right here. I'm curious what play action rate looked like in week 2. 25.8%. So Kirk Cousins was 11th in week 2 in play action rate. The exact same play action percentage as
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold. 2 sides of the same coin, baby. I love it. Man. And now the Eagles are 1-1 and the NFC East just looks like a mess. So shout out to the Commanders leading that division right now.
Hurts stole that touchdown from Saquon. Really screwed me. Betting wise.
Yeah. I didn't have a good weekend either. I think it was pretty right.
Yeah. Everyone got hurt in Guillotine League, Survivor League. I picked the Ravens.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's only 3 people left in our Survivor pool. And it's, I believe, Austin, Matt Hitt, and Kellen. Yeah, Kellen. All right. 3 people left. 2 weeks in. Amazing.
I kind of want to start another one just because it's fun.
I know. I do too. Can we? Or can you?
I will not join.
We don't have to pay for it.
No. For no money. Just.
Oh, I'm down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to win it
now. Oh man. Yeah. Good drive. What do you think about? Because Darnell Mooney had himself quite a game, especially in that 2-minute drill at the end.
Only in the 2-minute drill.
Was it only in the 2-minute drill?
Anymore.
Yeah, he went 3 for 7. And
2 of those catches were Oh, okay. All right, never mind. Maybe not quite the game. All right, let's talk about the Cowboys. The Saints absolutely just smacked them around 44-19. And I pulled what? What?
None. Let's keep going.
Okay.
You can't just say what in the middle.
He said, "Oh no."
No, Trent. You can't just say "oh no" in the middle of a sentence.
Yeah, I know. I was like, "Well,
sorry.
what happened?"
And not even tell us what happened.
Yeah.
Something
All right.
Vikings related, probably.
No, keep
Probably.
going.
Okay. I pulled some stats on Derek Carr and the Saints offense and just the hot start that they've been on 2 weeks into the season. I know week 1 was against the Panthers, but still it's impressive. Derek Carr is first in completion percentage above expectation at plus 11.7%, first among all quarterbacks. He's second in EPA per dropback behind only Josh Allen. He's at 0.47. Josh Allen is at 0.48, so they're neck and neck. First in play action percentage, 45.2%. And here's the thing that I think is really of note here out of all the stats. The knock on Derek Carr has always been doesn't throw the ball downfield, doesn't take chances, dink and duck, conservative. Like he's just a boring quarterback, right? Fourth in air yards per attempt so far this season. To put that into perspective, last year he was 12th. The year before that, 15th. 2021 he was 12th. In 2020 he was 17th. So big change in this Clint Kubiak offense. They're airing the ball downfield, running play action. Alvin Kamara he looked awesome. I saw.
Go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, Kamara scored 4 touchdowns, which it was like I think the last time he scored 4 touchdowns was that Christmas Day game, which was the fantasy championships, which was also against the Mike Zimmer defense. So might be something there. I don't know. We'll see. What were you going to say, Rosie?
I was just going to say on the Derek Carr point that he's playing the best he's played since he had Henry Ruggs with the Raiders. When he's like challenging downfield with Rashid Shaheed, that is where Derek Carr plays the best, when he's taking chances and not having to be the game manager quarterback that the Saints were asking him to do last 2 years.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's impressive. Like it, and the thing is it doesn't, we'll see as the season progresses. I'll be surprised if he keeps up at this pace, because the pace he's at right now, he would probably win the MVP, which I don't think anyone had, Derek Carr MVP on their bingo cards for this season. But outside of that, it looks real. Like this looks like this new Clint Kubiak offense. Like they have found something with it. And kind of, you could even take the Derek Carr thing aside, but like getting the ball downfield to Rashid Shaheed, like getting Kamara open in space. Like they've got athletic dudes on that offense. And now their offense is not just, hey, let's just give it to Taysom Hill in short yardage situations and see what happens. Like they actually have a legit identity. And so I think from that standpoint, they can sustain it.
Well, this brings me to my Kool-Aid player of the week.
Oh no.
That's what the oh no was.
Oh, I did not catch it.
I just let you guys talk it out.
Wait, can you do it again?
Oh no. Even when I do it a second time, you guys fail. Anyways.
Oh no. Are we supposed to say something?
No, whatever, man. This is just going terribly. I am not drinking the Kool-Aid yet, but I have a glass of it poured on the New Orleans Saints. You can say Derek Carr if you want, because he leads that offense, but you don't fake 90 points in 2 weeks. Like, you don't fake that.
No.
So I think the Saints might be legit. Tune in next week to see if I'm drinking that Kool-Aid. But right now the glass is poured for the New Orleans Saints.
I feel like you guys fall for this every year.
I don't think so. I don't think you. So maybe we do, but when have they scored 90 points in 2 weeks?
I can think of great offenses in the past that fizzle out.
Dolphins.
Like the Cardinals 3 years ago, the Dolphins, the Vikings.
See, but I think the difference with this
they never
is
fizzled.
I mean, they got to the playoffs, but then got beat by the Giants. So.
Well, their defense was terrible. They had I don't even want to remember the defensive coordinator's name.
Dontel.
Yeah, that guy. He's just terrible.
Yeah. See, but I think the thing
he's probably working at Enterprise.
He'll pick you up.
No, he won't. He'll let you. He'll let you.
He'll let you down.
He'll drop you off for sure.
But like they brought in Kubiak, and you can point to like that as kind of unlocking this offense. So from that standpoint, that's not going to change. You know, like defenses might adjust, but it's not like Kubiak's going to disappear in week 7. You know.
Yeah, but Kubiak is running a scheme that basically every team in the NFL is running right now, and not
Panthers
every team...
are not.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, not every team's playing as well as the Saints are. I think, to be honest, I think it's just Rashid Shaheed catching a long bomb touchdown sets the tone, and the opposing team just falls apart. Like, I like what Kubiak's doing. I think they're a lot better than they were last year, but I'm not even ready to call them a playoff team yet, to be honest.
In that division,
why? Because Carolina's going to come out of nowhere. Or?
I was about to say, I'm surprised.
I don't have them in the playoffs, man. Not this year.
I mean, Tampa looks good.
Yeah, both teams are 2-0.
Yeah.
So let's look at the Saints' upcoming schedule. I think they play the Eagles this week. They have Eagles, and then at Falcons, at Chiefs, home versus the Bucks. So I don't know if they split the next 4. If they're 4-2 through those first 6 games,
then I would buy it. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's doable.
I don't think they will, though.
I mean, we have seen, you mentioned Henry Ruggs. Like, do y'all remember, I forget what year it was. I bet I can pull it up. When Derek Carr was like an MVP candidate, and then he got hurt like the last week of the season, and the Raiders, I think, had the 1 seed or maybe the 2 seed. Maybe they were playing wild card weekend, and they like, I forget who their backup quarterback was, but like they had aspirations to go deep in the playoffs.
Nathan Peterman.
Was it Nathan Peterman?
I think so.
Or was it Mariota?
You're right. It was Mariota.
2016. They were 12-4. That sounds right. Yeah.
That's a long time ago.
I think it was 2016.
That was freshman year of college.
Yeah, no, I
guess sophomore year.
Derek Carr has shown it before. It's just been such a long time.
Yeah, I mean,
and he really hasn't even had to do much either. Like he throw for like 220 something yards against the Cowboys. But it's really just Kamara taking it to the house 4 times, which I mean he's not going to do every single game.
Let's see. Week 2, he threw for 243, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. But had a 125 passer rating, which was 3rd on the day, which is funny because you know who, let me see if you can guess this. So you can probably guess who had the best passer rating in week 2. Any guesses? Bueller.
I couldn't tell you.
Kyler Murray.
Oh yeah. Okay.
The quarterback who had the 2nd best passer rating, Malik Willis.
Maybe we shouldn't be using passer rating as a good stat.
No, I know. It's just it's because the Colts defense was like terrible. Just absolutely abysmal.
Quarterback controversy brewing in Green Bay.
Should we start the controversy? Start the conversation?
I'm down.
Hey, game of the week: Packers Titans revenge game for Malik Willis.
I don't know if Malik Willis is entitled to a revenge game. I might put my foot down on that. All right. Let's keep it moving. Well, I don't really have any notes on the Cowboys. This is kind of what I was talking about last week with Austin about the defense. The defense looks great when the team has a lead, and Micah Parsons can just worry about rushing the passer. But as soon as they fall behind and the other team knows how to run the football, you see the deficiencies, and that's why I don't think this is a serious football team. Trent, speaking of serious football teams, your Minnesota Vikings improved to 2-0 after beating the San Francisco 49ers, including a 97-yard bomb from Sam Darnold to Justin Jefferson. Where are you at on the purple and gold?
I'm drowning in the Kool-Aid, my man. Drowning.
Big old bathtub of it.
Yep, big old bathtub. It's purple now. That's so good. Man, I am just so... I'm not completely sold yet. I said at the beginning of the year they're going to be a 9-8 team.
Wait, you're drowning in a bathtub of Kool-Aid, but you're not completely sold yet.
I know. I'm having a good time.
Okay.
It's great. Kevin O'Connell he's the best coach in the league, I think. Sam Darnold made throws this weekend that looked like old Sam Darnold, and I was like, ew. And when Aaron Jones fumbled on the half-yard line, I was like, yep, they're losing this game for sure. And then Sam Darnold found a way to march on the field and get a field goal that was like, he didn't have Jefferson. Addison was out. Aaron Jones was out. And so was, Hawkinson. He's been out the whole time.
Yeah.
He had Jalen Naylor and Brandon Powell, and he marched down the field and got a field goal to basically ice the game. So, I don't know. It was fun to watch. It was a good game. That was probably the best I've felt after a Viking win since the last time they beat the 49ers, which was last year.
I think, okay, so let's keep the discussion on Sam Darnold here for a little bit. In my mind, like going into the season, the case that was to be made for Sam Darnold working out for the Vikings was, hey, you got Justin Jefferson, you got Jordan Addison, like TJ Hawkinson will be back at some point. Like you've got Kevin O'Connell. And it was more about like, hey, you've got the infrastructure and Kevin O'Connell can maximize Darnold's ability. But it's basically just been Jefferson, which that is not a slight at Jefferson. He is by far and away the best wide receiver in the league. So just having him is better than most wide receiver cores in totality across the NFL. But he hasn't had all the supporting cast, and they're 2-0, and they've done enough to win. Brian Flores has a defense,
oh my gosh,
way overachieving from, based on their talent level, which is what a good defensive coordinator does.
Run game's great too.
And the run game's good.
Yeah. The run game's good, which sets up the play action game, which it was I never thought the only time I thought the Vikings were going to lose was when Aaron Jones fumbled that ball on the half-yard line, just because that's some PTSD.
Yeah.
Because that game was not as close as the score was. Like the Vikings had 2 turnovers inside the red zone. It could have been a lot uglier than, I think the final was like 24-16 or something, 24-17.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
23-17.
But I don't think Sam Darnold is the savior per se. I think this is more on Kevin O'Connell than it is on Sam Darnold. Because like I said, Sam made some throws this weekend where I was like, dude, what were you even looking at? Like his interception was really bad. Like I think 2 49ers could have caught that ball. But
I will say that interception, that was a huge testament to Fred Warner, because if you watch like the all 22 view of that, Fred Warner kind of he recognizes the route from the moment the ball is snapped. So he like almost fakes to the outside and then just beelines it over the middle and picks the ball off. And so Darnold was kind of looking him over. And then once Darnold decided to throw it, Warner comes out of nowhere and picks it off.
That might be true, but I think the safety would have intercepted it too. It was a really bad throw.
Might have. I mean, there were
a really bad throw.
Like 3 Niners around him. So not saying the ball doesn't still get picked off, but Warner made an incredible play.
Okay, I'll allow that. But yeah, the front 7 for the Vikings looks deadly with Brian Flores. I still think their secondary is weak. Deebo Samuel just tore them apart all game. But the front 7 got to Purdy enough where they didn't have enough time to get to the secondary. But I am cautiously optimistic still.
You thinking playoffs yet?
Oh, I have them in the playoffs. I think they can sneak in as a wild card team. I don't think they'll do any damage once they get there, if they get there. But I think they can. I think they can definitely get there.
Well, they've got next 4 games: home versus the Texans, at the Packers, home versus the Jets, home versus the Lions.
Yeah, and people were saying they're going to start 1-4. And they've already got 2 games. So I don't know. And the Jets is in London, so they're going to win that game. They never lose in London.
Oh, okay. That's worth noting. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Chiefs survive against Cincy. I would say more so Cincy just kind of gave the game away, committing that late pass interference. I know there was some conversation online about, the Chiefs get bailed out once again and trying to make it into a whole ref conversation. Like, do we all agree that was very clearly pass interference, and it would have been way more egregious if the refs didn't call it in that instance?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good. I'm glad we're not making it a ref conversation. It's more a conversation of, hey, the defensive back for Cincinnati made a boneheaded play, bailed out the Chiefs, and I think the Chiefs kind of have that, whether it's Peyton Manning Colts or Tom Brady Patriots, where like late in the game, you make a mistake like that, you're not getting by. Like they are making you pay for a late game mistake, and you have to play perfect football. And if you don't, it's over. And that's what we saw on Sunday. And we can talk about the Chiefs a little bit, but I want to kind of start with the Bengals. They're 0-2, which I think they were 0-2 maybe 2 years ago, ended up still winning the division on the final week. Any concern from them? Like, do you all think, hey, this is the Bengals, they're bounce back, they'll be fine? Or are you a little more concerned about this slow start?
I'm not concerned. They should have beat the Chiefs, best team in the league. So
I gotta agree.
0-2 sucks, yeah, and you dug yourself a hole, but I think they're going to be fine.
I think what we wanted to see was Joe Burrow play well, and for the most part, he played well. At least a lot better than he did against the Patriots. And I would say that the Chiefs have a much better defense than the Patriots do.
Which 0-2 NFC North team are you more concerned with, the Bengals or the Ravens?
Ravens.
I would say the Ravens for one specific reason, and it's their offensive line. Their offensive line does not look good at all. So that makes Lamar have to scramble all the time, which you don't really want him doing. Like, he's a good scrambler when he has the opportunity to, but if you're making him do that every single play, that's just not good. And then Derrick Henry hasn't been able to get up to full speed either.
Wow, that might be something to do with him being 30.
Yeah, I feel like he always starts slow. Like
he does, yeah.
It's kind of like once you get to Halloween, then you get the real Derrick Henry. So,
but you want that offensive line to be as good as it was last year, especially in run blocking, because that's the whole identity of the Ravens.
No, I agree. Like, I think I'm probably more concerned with the Ravens because I think you can make excuses for the Bengals, right? What excuses could you make for the Ravens right now? Like the fact that the Bengals, I'm sorry, the fact that the Ravens lost that game against Vegas made no sense. They were up by double digits in the fourth quarter against the Raiders and Gardner Minshew and just pissed the game away.
Beep.
No, we can leave that one in.
You're just trying to get him.
Yeah. And I think another reason why it's concerning for the Ravens is what has been a very clear advantage the Ravens have had over every other NFL team for the last 7-8 years. Justin Tucker.
Yeah, Justin Tucker.
Washed.
What was that stat? I forget who sent it.
I sent it. There's been 37 kicks from 50 plus in the NFL this year. 35 have been made, and the only 2 missed were Justin Tucker.
Unbelievable.
Never would have thought.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's some. How old is Justin Tucker? Well, no, you can't be an age thing. I mean, Vinatieri was making field goals and he was like 50. I mean, he's 34. He's washed. Like, I don't think it's something that gets better. We've kind of seen signs of this over the last couple seasons, and it seems like it's kind of it is completely off a cliff at this point.
He needs to retire before his percentage goes down too much.
I think he'll still make the Hall of Fame even if he doesn't end his season or his career on a high note.
You think so?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe.
What's his career percentage? Let me see. Total field goals, he's in an 89.9% for his career. But look at this drop off. Are you ready for this? In 2021, he was at 94.6% on field goals, including 6 for 6 on 50 plus yarders. Since that point, 2022, he dropped down to 86%. 2023, he dropped down to 86.5%. And then so far in 2024, he's at 71.4% on field goals and 0 for 2 on 50 plus yarders. And he's made everything else. He's 5 for 7. Yikes. Yikes.
Season hinges on him.
Yeah. Tua got another concussion.
He should be done. That's all I'm going to say about it.
DeMar Hamlin wins.
Okay.
Easy.
All right.
Easy. I did see, in the spirit of that joke, I wouldn't make this joke, but I saw it on the internet. So I just want everyone to be kind of warned of it, not that I would personally say this, but I did see someone say that DeMar Hamlin's KD ratio is back up to 1.
We're not laughing.
No.
I'm not laughing. I think Tua needs to be done, but he won't because he's a football player.
He is on the IR to go visit doctors, which is wild to me.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, jokes aside or whatever, like it's concerning. Like I don't want to see him back out there again. It's scary. Like I think we know too much now about head injuries and long-term effects for them and whatnot, that it's like, I don't know, man. Like, go the Andrew Luck route. Stop now so you can play with your kids when you're older, Like, it's...
But is he thinking, like, 2 things? Damage might be already done, for one. Like, I don't think anyone...
can always be worse.
I mean, yeah, he could like go into a coma or something, but I don't know if there's any like correlation with amount of concussions and CTE in the future. I don't think there's any correlation with that I know of. I mean, maybe there is. And if that's the case, then maybe he should have a different conversation. But then also, he just signed a $200 million deal, which he would have to forfeit if he retired.
I did wonder this, like, we've seen they've become more popular in practice and training camp, and we've seen a few players wear them in the regular season. Why the heck is Tua, of all players, not wearing the Guardian cap in games? Like, he shouldn't have a choice. It should be a mandated requirement. Literally, it should be written. Like, if you've had 2 or more concussions, I'm sorry, you get a Guardian cap no matter what. Like, the science shows that they help reduce concussions. You're prone to them or whatever. You've had a string of bad luck. No, just wear it. Who cares? Go ahead.
I got 2 concussions in high school playing soccer, and my coach made me wear headgear. So, logic's there. Looked like a nerd, but I was fast as hell.
I feel like we have the same soccer story.
I hope he makes the right decision for him and his family.
He's not, though, right? Like, he's coming back.
Yeah, I think he is, and I think that's a mistake.
All right, I think we're all aligned there. Real quick on the rookie quarterbacks, I got 3 other things, and then we'll get to. Or Rosie, you want to do your fancy roundup right now? Actually,
sure.
You got it. Yeah, let's do it.
So for this week, we're gonna do buy and sell.
All right.
Take too long, then I'll cut the sells. Are we buying Dalton Kincaid?
No.
Let me pull up his stats really quick.
What stats?
Yeah, he doesn't have much.
See, but I feel like that's the case for pretty much every tight end outside of Brock Bowers this week and Isaiah Likely in week 1. Like, let me see.
So through the first 2 weeks of the season, he has 6 targets, 5 receptions for 44 yards.
I think you also, like, for example, Keon Coleman had a decent week 1, had 0 targets in week 2. And I feel like that week 2 Bills game was out of hand in a hurry. Then Tua gets taken out in the third quarter, and they didn't throw a pass the rest of the game. Or at least it seemed like it. Like, that was not a typical game script for the Bills. Like,
I don't know if that's true, though. Like, I don't want to talk out of both sides of my mouth here, but I do think that the Bills.
Can you try?
How do you have 2 sides here?
Like this.
All right.
Watch on YouTube. The Bills want to be a run-heavy team with their new offensive coordinator that they brought in last year. They want to run it with James Cook and Ray Davis. That's what they want the identity of the team to be. Kind of like Russell Wilson back in the day with the Seahawks. Like, don't put it all on Josh Allen. Have a good run game and then let Josh Allen make a couple great throws and not be a game manager, but like a really good game manager who can also run himself. So I think the total volume for Dalton Kincaid is going to go way down from what it could have been last year. That being said, I think Kincaid looks really good. Like, just watching him play. And week 1, he was like triple teamed against Arizona. So I think that there will be good games for Kincaid. He just might not have the tight end 1 season that we kind of hope for.
All right. I want to play a game with you guys. So this will be 2 truths and a lie, but it'll be 2 tight ends who so far through 2 weeks have more fantasy points than Dalton Kincaid, and 1 tight end who does not. Okay. Let's do Elijah Higgins. Brenton Strange, and Luke Schoonmaker.
I don't know who any of those guys are. Next question.
The last 2 have more than Kincaid.
Trick question. They all have more fantasy points than Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough right now, but he's going to have his games, I think. And the tight end position is awful. Like, you're not going to start. Brenton Strange next week. You're not going to.
Dude, there's only 8 tight ends. This isn't full PPR. There's only 8 tight ends who have more than 15 combined fantasy points through the first 2 weeks. That's it.
Yikes.
It's not been good. And which is really weird because I feel like we have more tight end talent in the league this year than any other year before.
I mean, you'd probably say, the number one dynasty tight end is probably who's Sam Laporta, or at least it was going into the year. Maybe Brock Bowers.
Yeah, now it's Brock Bowers probably.
And Laporta's got 11.8 fantasy points in PPR through 2 weeks.
Yeah, he's been awful. Kelsey's been awful. Andrew's been awful.
Yeah,
I think this is more of the run game taking hold and just all passing yards down from years in the past. Like, how many 100-yard quarterback games did we have last week? Because I can't remember a time where like I'm looking at lines for next week and they're all set like 180, 170. I'm like, I remember Justin Fields doing this with the Bears, but other than that,
if you go stats per game, there's only so far there's only been 6 quarterbacks who have averaged more than 250 yards per game, and one of them is Jordan Love, who only has the 1 game. So
yeah, that's really bad.
It's really bad.
So tight ends are suffering.
What other fantasy buys?
Well, so was that a buy or a no?
I think it's a hold.
Hold.
I don't know if I'd be buying him if I don't have him, but I'm not necessarily trading him if I do.
I'd probably buy him.
I'd probably buy him too, just because he's probably cheap. But all right, so number 2, Terry McLaurin. Are we buying?
Nope. I haven't watched a single down of Washington football.
Jane Daniels does not know how to pass the ball 5 yards down the field, and I don't think that Dan Quinn.
We knew that coming in.
He was a good deep ball thrower though. It just hasn't been there.
Don't buy Terry McLaurin as long as Kingsbury is there. Don't do it. He's awful. Or if you think that he's going to be gone, then maybe you can buy him. But don't do it.
Don't do it. Oh, my God.
Let's see. Okay, so Terry McLaurin. Let me pull this up here. We talked about this during the preseason, and I was like, hey, this is worth kind of keeping track of. Terry McLaurin has run 53 routes so far through the 2 weeks, okay? He has can it I thought it could tell me alignment to the left or to the right. It'll just tell me out wide. Okay, I guess that's fine. Out wide, of those 53 routes, he has been lined up out wide 43 times. He has been in motion 2 times.
Yeah, you don't really want to see that. And especially with a rookie quarterback that can't get the ball to him when he is open, which is few and far between. I agree with you. Kingsbury is not a good coordinator. I don't think Dan Quinn is the kind of coach that you want for your fantasy players. So, yeah, I'm not.
To put it into perspective, CeeDee Lamb has run 64 routes through 2 games. He's been lined up out wide only 24 times. And he has been in motion 13 times. So they are running a Stone Age offense with their wide receivers. So I would not buy Terry McLaurin. That's my take.
Trent?
No chance.
Okay, on to the next one then. Will Levis. Are you going to buy Will Levis? The surrender
Cobra?
Yeah. And the full lateral toss pass.
I think there's 23 better quarterbacks, so no.
And we can make this a super flex conversation too.
All right. Let's do 2 truths and a lie with Will Levis. This one I'll actually make one of them not true. Okay, I won't do a trick question this time.
Okay.
These are quarterbacks who have scored more fantasy points this year than Will Levis. 2 truths and a lie. We will go with Bo Nix, Malik Willis, and Justin Fields.
Bo Nix.
Malik Willis has only played one game.
It was Malik Willis, but not by much. Only by less than 5 fantasy points. So,
can I just say though that Levis hasn't looked good, but the Bears and the Jets defense might be top 5 in the league.
Trent seems to agree.
No, you can't say that. Move on. You asked.
Why can't I say that?
I said because you asked. I don't need a reason. You asked if you could. I said no.
Oh. Craig, delete it from the pod.
Yeah, come on, Craig. Are you buying Will Levis, Rosie?
I'm buying. Hopefully these turnovers stop, or at least aren't. I mean, they're just so stupid. He can't do it every single week, right? Like
his coach hates him. Like,
yeah. I think it's a 50-50% chance that he gets benched. That being said, though, he's a good rusher, and he tries to rush a good amount, which you can't say for a lot of quarterbacks. And he does push the ball downfield, which is what you want to see from your fantasy quarterbacks as well. Calvin Ridley is a good wide receiver. They have a good run game right now. I think it's going to be better from here. There's not a lot of good quarterbacks in the league. Like, I'm not starting him, but if I can buy him for cheap, I would definitely try.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah. DeAndre Swift. Are we buying DeAndre Swift?
I don't even know what team he plays for.
The Bears.
Then no. That offensive line is so hot garbage.
Yeah. I think I'm going to agree with Trent here. I don't know how that situation gets better.
I saw a stat, and I'm pretty close. I think Caleb Williams dropped back to pass 48 times. I think he had 46 quarterback pressures, which that could be Caleb holding onto the ball too long. But 46 out of 48 is something to be concerned about.
Yeah, the offensive line isn't playing well, and Caleb isn't playing well, even despite the offensive line. Like, he's not making any throws. Swift, though, is getting way more snap percentage than I ever thought that he would. He's at 70% in week 1 and 66% in week 2. Like, he is basically their workhorse, and obviously it hasn't translated to anything yet. But it could be that, like, Titans defense is also very good. The Texans defense is very good as well. He has the Colts, Rams, Panthers, Jags coming up. So if Caleb continues to struggle, the offense isn't going to be good, obviously. But I do think that they would rely on the run game a little bit more. And then, do you want to buy the offensive line or not? I think that's the big question.
Okay. All right. I'm going to make you make a decision here. Give me your number one sell right now, 2 weeks into the season.
Like who my number one sell is?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I don't really want to sell any of these guys, but I'm selling Brock Bowers.
Interesting.
Don't think that he can keep it up, especially I think he's going to be good as a rookie. He might have the best rookie season ever, but I think the price that you could get for him right now is ridiculous. And with Devontae Adams there, Jacoby Myers there, I don't think he's going to command the same target share that he has been. How many targets does he have?
He has Hold on. Anyone want to take a guess?
More than Hawkinson.
I think it's like 20.
17.
Okay. Which is insane for a rookie tight end. And obviously he is earning it, but also I think Gardner Minshew is
He's only one target behind Devontae Adams for the team lead.
Yeah, that's insane.
And it's like there's not even it's those two and that's it. Like Devontae Adams at 18, Bowers at 17, and then next up is Jacoby Myers with 8.
Yeah, that is crazy to me. I don't see him doing that for the full season. One, because Gardner Minshew is top five in passing yards right now, and passing attempts as well. They are getting nothing on the ground, so they're having to pass the ball all the time. And then also, I think
is that going to change with Zamir White and Alexander Madison?
I can't be as bad as it has been. I think they're averaging like 1 yard a carry.
That's pretty bad.
Or like around there. So, and then if the target share doesn't change, teams will scheme to try to take Brock Bowers away.
I think, okay, so to me, I think you only sell Brock Bowers if you get like a Godfather offer and someone's just willing to overpay, because this dude was like arguably the very best player in all of college football last year. And he is doing the exact same thing he did at Georgia now in the NFL. Like the way that he is producing is identical, and it's against NFL talent. And it was against a really good Ravens defense, or at least a Ravens defense that has playmakers on it. So I think it continues. I don't know if he's going to be the number one tight end in fantasy, but he has, I think that the potential is there. And I tend to overrate this with my fantasy teams, but there's an aspect, I don't know if either of you are like this, but like fantasy is so much more fun when you have like the handful of players that are just electric and you're like, man, I'm so glad that I have them on my fantasy team. Like it's so fun having them. Like I remember having AJ Brown and like that first year he went off in Tennessee. And just like every week I was like, oh, I wonder what AJ Brown's going to do this week. Like, oh, he's probably going to have a 60-yard touchdown over catching it over the helmet of a defensive back, because that's just what he does. And I feel like Bowers is kind of in that territory where it's like, he's just like, if you have him on your fantasy team, do you really want to live in a world where you don't have that? I don't know. I probably overrate that a little bit too much, but it's something that I always consider.
No, that makes sense. I do like Brock Bowers a lot. I think he's going to do very good things in the NFL, but especially for redraft, I would try to sell high.
Okay. All right, let's rapid fire through these last few topics we have. Your Lions lost to the Bucks, so they moved to 1-1. Any notes or thoughts from that game?
Goff had 55 pass attempts. Wow. Which is insane, and you don't want him to do that. And since you don't want him to do that, I don't know why they paid him. Like, you don't want your $50 million quarterback passing the ball. Okay, that makes sense. But I think the Bucs are a good team, and the Lions should still be a very good team as well. They doubled the yardage that the Bucs had.
That's crazy.
So, nothing else to note.
Is your linebacker going to be okay? I don't know if they had to put him on IR with like
Anzalone?
A couple broken ankles. Yeah, after what
Baker
Baker
you're talking about
Mayfield
Rodrigo. Yeah.
Yeah. That was nasty, man.
Yeah, and on that same play.
So what?
There were 3 linebackers on the field. Rodrigo, who got his pants juked out, Derek Barnes, and Anzalone. When Barnes went to go tackle Baker, he missed and smacked Anzalone in the face and gave him a concussion.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, just absolutely cooked.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to the Bucs, man. I did see there's like a restaurant in Charlotte, North Carolina, that Monday morning they had on their marquee sign said Baker Mayfield 2-0, Sam Darnold 2-0, Matt Rule 3-0, Bryce Young 0-2, and I was like, oh, Panthers fans are going through it.
It's sad.
Did you all see? I apologize to Panthers fans. Did you see what happened in their like Instagram comments on the 9/11 post? Did y'all see this?
Like the Panthers account made a 9/11 post.
And all the fans were in the comments like, "We've got it worse than they did." Like, I wish I was on that plane.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was awful. Down bad right now. And then finally, the Cardinals, Kyler Murray, just put it to the Rams. And I think like this was kind of a thought I had about the Cardinals going into the year where it felt like people had kind of forgotten how good this offense is when Kyler Murray is healthy. And well, obviously it all depends on if he's able to stay healthy. But Marvin Harrison, welcome to the NFL. And Kyler Murray was just, I mean, he was perfect. I believe he had a perfect passer rating on Sunday. Was awesome. And I think they look like one of the top offenses in the NFL, at least through the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm happy that Marvin Harrison is not slow as mud.
Yeah. I know, shocker. Marvin Harrison actually is good at football. Who would have thought?
He's our, I think I saw someone say he's our generation's Jamar Chase couldn't see the ball.
Exactly.
It's only been like 3 years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
New generation.
All right.
But I mean, that was a storyline where it's like, oh, Jamar Chase, the football doesn't have the white stripes. He can't see it in training camp. And then he broke the rookie receiving record, which then Puka Nacua broke a couple years later.
Yep.
I'm saying, did any of us have the Cardinals in the playoffs? No, we didn't. And who knows if they'll make the playoffs, but they look good so far.
October's just around the corner.
That's true. There is a new Call of Duty coming out, so they need to stack up the wins while they can. All right. Y'all got anything else? The only other note I had was Nico Collins is a dude, and I don't think he gets talked about in like the top tier wide receivers. Like I consider Justin Jefferson in his own tier, but honestly, maybe there's like a second tier that's like just Tyreek Hill and CeeDee Lamb. But I think after that, I think you kind of have to put Nico Collins in that conversation with what he's doing.
He looks incredible.
He's awesome.
Like he's really fast. He's incredible at the catch point, and his route running is awesome.
Wide receivers so far this season with double-digit targets and at least 1.0 EPA per target. It's Chris Godwin and Nico Collins.
Jefferson would be up there if he didn't get hurt.
And then asterisk Jefferson would be up there if he didn't get hurt.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone would have thought that he was trash otherwise.
Yeah. But shout out Nico Collins. The dude is just a baller. Like he's another one of those guys where if you have him on your fantasy team, you're so happy because he makes the coolest plays, right? Like he's just so fun.
Malik Neighbors looks pretty good too.
He does.
Looks pretty good, even though he's got Daniel Jones throwing to him.
Neighbors lost him the game.
Yeah, well, rookies do that.
After his
No. Brian Daboll lost them the game.
Oh, come on, man.
They
didn't have a kicker.
Have you heard some of the details about this?
No.
So their kicker injured his groin on Saturday. And they didn't elevate a backup kicker. And then on the opening kickoff, he hurts his hamstring. And you're like, okay, well, Andrew, that's kind of not fair. Most teams don't have a backup kicker on their, game day roster. They had put a player on IR earlier that week. So for the game on Sunday, they only had 52 players activated.
Okay, that's wild. I did not know that.
They had an open roster spot on Sunday.
I didn't know he was dealing with a groin issue on Saturday. That alone is malpractice.
Yeah. So that's why Brian Daboll lost him the game, because he knew the kicker was hurt They had an open roster spot, and they just said, "Oh, okay, whatever."
For once, it wasn't Daniel Jones' fault.
Yeah. At least he has Malik Neighbors. All right, let's wrap it there. That'll do it for this week's
We're not going to
episode.
talk about week 2 at all.
We just spent an hour and a half talking about week 2.
Sorry.
What do you got on week 3?
I don't know, just games that we're excited about.
What game are you excited about?
Yeah, tell us, Rosie.
I'm excited about the Ravens and the Cowboys.
Sound a little more excited.
No, you guys are putting me down.
No, let's go.
I don't want to put you guys out.
Let's go. Come on.
Yeah, Ravens, Cowboys. 2 disappointing teams. I'm excited to see which one comes out on top.
I'm excited to see the Cowboys become the more disappointing team after that game. Because that's what's going to happen.
You don't think Micah Parsons is going to wreck the Ravens offensive line?
Nope.
I think it's going to be a bloodbath.
I think the Ravens are going to rush for 250 yards on the ground.
I think the Cowboys are going to win by 30.
Really? Making the
Wow.
Yeah.
Take the over on Lamar Jackson rushing yards. That's all I'll say. Just do it.
He's going to get Kyler.
Yeah, pair it with Kyler. There you go. I did try something as far as player props go this week, and it would have hit if Joe Mixon didn't get hurt. But I basically looked at like favorable matchups and just took like the adjusted line down on Price Picks on rushing yards and just put them all together and do, power play to at least have like decent odds. And so I had like Jonathan Taylor, Joe Mixon, Derrick Henry, and Bijan Robinson, and they all hit except Joe Mixon because he got hurt. But
I had the wrong Viking running back.
You did.
Ty Chandler looked great. Aaron Jones got hurt and didn't look that great, but Ty Chandler looked great.
Yeah.
How are we doing on a player prop?
I'm 1-1.
Everyone's 1-1 except I'm 0-2.
Loser.
I need to get that first one, and then I'll be okay.
I want the Nico Collins over, whatever it is.
All right. Other week 3 games. I'm excited for Eagles at Saints.
There's 2 2-0 games this week.
Oh, yeah. Vikings, Texans.
Vikings, Texans, and Chargers, Steelers. That's right where we all thought we'd be.
I hate it here.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
I'm excited about the Eagles and Saints, too. I am sad that A.J. Brown is out. It seems like he has a lot of hamstring issues every year. They are not the same team without him. Devonta Smith is not a number 1 wide receiver, in my opinion.
Dude, everyone's hurt. Like,
that's true.
The amount of star players who have gone down. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel.
Puka
Nacua, Deebo Samuel, A.J. Brown.
What happened to Deebo?
He's out for the next few weeks.
Is he really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
I didn't hear anything about that.
Came out today. Came out Tuesday. Deebo Samuel suffered a calf strain and will miss a few weeks.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Completely
Justin Jefferson got dead-legged real hard. He'll play. But he missed
Isaiah Pacheco's out like 6 to 8 weeks now. Like Joe Mixon had a hip drop tackle on his ankle. We'll see what his status is. I think he was getting an MRI on Tuesday. Kenneth Walker played week 1, was out week 2. Like the list of guys who are hurt right now is insane.
Evan Ingram didn't play. At least we haven't had too many quarterback injuries.
Yeah, just Tua, really.
And Love. But they're going to come back.
Love.
So
yeah.
All right, we can go home now. We can go home.
No, hey, anything else? Week 3?
Patriots, Jets, Thursday.
All right, yeah, we've gone too far. Maybe a nice injured bowl between the Niners and the Rams.
Oh, rip.
Which injured team will prevail?
It's going to be the Niners. I don't know how the Rams do it.
Niners are favored by 7.5, and it's in LA. Even though there'll be like 70% Niners fans.
Right.
Yeah. All right, the dad joke this week. Did you guys know that dogs can bark up to 500 times per day? But that's just a rough estimate.
I like that one.
All right, we'll end it there. Do we have a making the call bets this week, Rosie?
Yes.
Yes?
Friday, unless Alex doesn't show up.
All right, this Friday, unless Alex doesn't show up. So
We'll
look
try
out
to
for
do
that.
Better than last week. It was rough. It was real rough.
Today's
It
a
was
new
close,
day.
but it was rough.
Today's a new day. This week is a new week. Your best bet is your next bet, right?
Don't stop digging for the diamonds. Keep going.
All right. That'll do it. We'll be back here, all of us, next week with another episode recapping week 3 of the NFL action. I hope everyone has a fantastic rest of the week, and we will see you next time.